special 87th show here on Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12OZSportsRadio.com. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. We're live from Birdland in Baltimore, Maryland, which is home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get into today's first topic, I'm going to give you all 30 seconds to make sure you get your popcorn and your soda can and all whatever stuff you need for a drama or movie scene. Because, ladies and gentlemen, for the next less than an hour or so or whatever for today's show, I'm starting off with a ton of drama. Go grab your popcorn now. Go grab your soda cans. Go grab what you ever need to before I get into this segment. I hope you all are enjoying your week. I can't believe it's Thursday already. And another week's flying by. We have sports starting up again next week. I can't believe it's July 16th. The month's flying by, so it's 2020. That's good. And now, let's all get started on the potential drama that's happening at Redskins Park. So there are a lot of tweets, there's a lot of rumors, and there's a lot of speculation going on. And I am sure today's not the only day I'm going to be talking about it. I am for sure probably going to be talking and leading off with this on Monday as well. But this is the information that I have for right now. Now that you all have your popcorn and all your other stuff ready, your soda cans or whatever else, let's get started. So there was a article fan-sided, and I'm going to get all to the other tweets and all the other rumor speculations as well. Fan-sided, it sounds like something is very bad about to happen to Daniel Snyder by Braulio Perez. That was posted 59 minutes ago. This was right before I got in the show. And the Washington Post is supposed to release a story about the toxicity culture of what's been going on with Daniel Snyder and the Redskins for the past several years in the Jay Gruden era, it seems like. Let's see. What are some other tweets about the story? And then I'll get into the actual information of what I heard. John Gonzalez of ABC7 tweeted, "Working my sources, but apparently changing of the Redskins' name will be old news come tomorrow." He posted this last night when a bombshell report is expected to surface. There's growing buzz that unflattering news about the organization could come out in just hours. That's one tweet. Next tweet. Josina Anderson of ESPN. Source on forthcoming news involving the Washington NFL team. Quote, lawyers are involved. Wowza, wowza, wowza. What do we have here? It seems like there's a lot of legal internal issues if this is all true, and if they're going to be using lawyers. Scott Abraham of ABC7 posted on Sunday night, "There's much more going on at Redskins Park than a name change. I'm told by a source there will be some more news that comes out tomorrow than the change. And it's not good. I did not get specifics, but get ready, people." Okay, so those are the few tweets that I saw. Here's the next tweet that I saw. This is the information in the whole story. Posted by @Dave Struccio. So I have a pretty prominent lawyer friend in Maryland, and this is a subject on her timeline today. Allegedly, Gruden is doing drugs, having sex parties, and they were pimping cute cheerleaders, naked cheerleader photo shoots, selling their own tickets on StubHub, and more. For those who are on Skins Discord, here's what I got. Washington Post article is coming tomorrow, Friday at the latest. Rats are fleeing the ship and attempting to distance themselves while they can. Larry is the prime example. Others could be following suit. This goes far higher than anyone can think. Larry Hess and Eric Schaefer are involved as well. Sex assaults, drug and alcohol abuse. Other owners are furious, and this could lead to Snyder's removal. In no way Dan couldn't have knowledge of at least some of it. Minority owners are furious and fed up with Dan. Saw an opportunity to strike. I can't wrap my head around what I just read to you guys. I can't wrap my head around it. We're gonna sit here and pretend this is okay, if this is all supposedly the true story, that this is okay at an NFL level. I expect this, not saying that it's acceptable at any level, but to me, this sounds like Dan Snyder was running a college darn football team rather than a professional football team. Never once in my entire life had I heard something like this at an NFL level. I've heard stories like this at the college level. Remember Louisville when they did something like this? Rick Pitino? And that's why they had to get stripped of their 2013 title? This is downright disgusting if all true. How could you be an owner of an NFL team if your head coach was doing stuff like this and this is what you expect? Not saying that it's acceptable at any level, but it seems like it would more happen at a college level than a professional level. How could this man, Daniel darn Snyder, be an owner of a team after this? If this is supposedly all true, and if the Washington Post correctly drops this bombshell on all of us. There is no way on this planet Earth Daniel Snyder should never allow to be owned a team again or allowed to be anywhere near professional sports. This is as close as Donald Sterling in 2013 with the Clippers and the NBA forced them to sell. Roger Goodell, you better pull a page out of Adam Silver's book if this story is true. You better. There's no second guessing. You better act. And I know Goodell's been very good at stuff lately. This is the one time he has to hit a home run out of the park. You cannot mess this up if you're Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell better kick him out of the league if this story is true. Unacceptable. And the thing is, Louisville didn't mess around and get rid of Pitino. Why should the NFL mess around and not get rid of Dan Snyder as fast as they can? And you better believe that there will be a party somewhere in Southern Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia, all the other Washington football fans around this country when Daniel Snyder's out. This is despicable. To sit here this morning to find out, assuming this is all true, that if he didn't know what's going on, then he's just completely dumbfounded. And I'm sorry, he's just a Darnold schmuck about it. That's what he is. That's what Daniel Snyder is. A schmuck who didn't know what he was doing. That's what he is. And no, I have no filter on this stuff. And for all you people know me out there, I don't have a filter about a lot of things. But it's despicable behavior. You can't your head coach was doing this, and you probably didn't know about it, and that's why the Washington play-by-play announcer leaves after 16 years, and then you have the minority owners wanting to get out because you don't know how to run a franchise, because there's a reason why your franchise is called Toxicity. It should be known as the Toxicity Football Franchise, and it'll be known as that until you get the heck out of there. It's disgraceful on every end. You have no kind for human rights. You have no kind for anything. You're not respectable to anyone. And I'm sure there's a lot of more information that is going to be released. And this may only be the beginning. And I'm here all for the popcorn. I'm here for the drama. I'm here for this. And I'm here to go off about it. And I hope you all are listening to what I have to say right now, because I truly appreciate it. This is bigger than football. This is a human problem. You can't do drugs and you can't do alcohol. You can't have naked photo shoots with your own cheerleaders. It's unethical. And you didn't learn anything about ethnicity since day one from your parents? What makes you think it's okay just because you're at a professional level? I mean, to be partying with these people and all this other stuff. Listen, I know my territories. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, not to be doing, and I'm not a professional. What does it matter if you're a professional or not? It's just right or wrong. It's gonna set a whole distraction for not only now, but until the season starts. And this is not good for Ron Rivera, the new head coach who came in, and this is not his fault. I mean, what is he supposed to do? What are the other players on that team supposed to do, for that matter? It's not their fault. I wonder what's going to happen when this story is released by the Washington Post. What's going to be said? What is going to be said? And what are some of their players going to say? Because, let me say this, everyone is retweeting their Twitter page, and so am I. I have been sending stuff to friends of mine in the Washington football team. Well, they're not the Redskins anymore. But this is a lot bigger story than the Washington, whatever they name it, the Warriors, the Red Wolves, I don't care. That's not the point right now. The point of the matter is, we have an ethnicity issue with the Washington football team. That's the problem. There's an ethnicity problem on all ends of the spectrum. And it's downright immoral and disgusting. And I blow my brains off for the last 14 minutes, but you want to know something? I don't give a blanking rip. Because I simply don't. And I thought the Cleveland Browns, the New York Giants, and some other franchises have been horribly run the past 5-10 years or so. But this doesn't even come close. It's not even close. This is by far the worst that I've ever seen. Maybe in all of sports. Yeah, we have James Dolan in the New York Knicks. But we don't have these kind of... It doesn't seem like, to me, maybe there was a story of Dolan and stuff, but I don't recall it. This is by far the worst. I cannot believe I'm saying that Dan Snyder's worse than James Dolan. And when I say that on live airwaves, you are a sickening and disgusting man. I mean, I'm just going filter, no filter, this and that. So now let me get to this NFL update that I saw before the show and why this story hasn't been technically released. This isn't a story that you make one phone call and get all the information. It's not a story that will fit in one tweet. This appears to be a story that has been in the works for months. Remember when Ken Rosenthal and Evan Drellich of The Athletic had to work on a very similar story to the Houston Astros cheating scandal to get all the facts right and make sure they're 100% right nonetheless? Well, this is the case here. As they teach you in journalism, it's not about who gets the story out first. It's about getting all the information. And there's going to be so much drama and so much head spinning whenever this story is released. Excuse me. I'm just sitting here and waiting for it to finally be published. It's like the second the Washington Post hits, you know when you're writing a story for maybe a small company, it's like you click on the button, you click publish, and it sends to everyone. The second it hits publish, everything's going to unravel. And as if 2020 hasn't unraveled enough, it's even going to unravel even more. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the hype, the paparazzi, everything else you want to say about this story, this is just the beginning. And don't think for 1 second today's going to be the last day that I'm going to talk about it. You better darn right bet dollars to donuts to Vegas right now. I'm probably going to be talking about it on Monday morning. And maybe for shows to come as well. And the next question becomes, if Roger Goodell forces, and he should force Dan Snyder to sell, who is the next owner for the Washington Redskins? And we don't know the answer to that. All I know is anything and anything will be better than that man right now. Is it Joe Theismann? Is it someone who used to play for the Washington Redskins? Back in the heyday when they won 3 Super Bowls? And they were in existence in 87 years before they had to change the name? I can't anymore. This whole Redskins thing, it's just a downright awful mess. And I thought the Cleveland Browns were a mess. And speaking of the Cleveland Browns, I'm going to jump into this. Myles Garrett. And I'm sure you're all thankful right now that I'm done talking about the Redskins or the Washington football team drama for now. Myles Garrett gets a 5-year contract extension worth $125 million. He gets a 5-year, $125 million deal, according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. Myles Garrett, who was the number 1 pick in the 2017 NFL draft out of Texas A&M, the 2017 first-round pick out of Texas A&M. I mean, he's played like a number 1 pick. And he's one of the best defensive linemen in the game. 30.5 sacks in 104 career games. 10 sacks, 29 tackles, 2 forced fumbles in 10 games last year. Had to be suspended the final 6 games because of the Mason Rudolph incident. Smacked him with his helmet. Made a mistake. We get it. It happens. but he knows he probably won't do it again. And he's going to be one of the key pieces of this defense, considering he is the heartbeat and heart and soul of the Cleveland Browns defensive front. And let's not pretend he doesn't mean anything, because he does. Myles Garrett is a game changer. And it's why one of the reasons why the Cleveland Browns might be a top 5, top 10 defense this year, let alone make the playoffs under Kevin Stefanski in his first year as the head coach, coming from the Minnesota Vikings as the offensive coordinator. They will also, Denzel Ward, Nick Chubb, and Baker Mayfield are due next for a big contract nonetheless. And speaking of big contracts, well, it's not a big contract, but Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs is getting a contract as well for the Kansas City Chiefs. There's the paper. So the contract is, he is getting a 4-year deal worth $80 million by the Kansas City Chiefs after getting franchise tagged. So he's their anchor in their 4-3 scheme. Schemed by Steve Spagnuolo. So he's a monster up front. He's 26 years old. He's going to be a force down the middle. Chris Jones, I don't think he's as good as Aaron Donald of the Rams, but he is in the Fletcher Cox category, the Philadelphia Eagles for sure. I don't know, Kansas City wins the Super Bowl last year without Chris Jones. Yeah, I know they got Patrick Mahomes, but you need some defensive interior. Chris Jones could get after the quarterback, and he could also stop the run. Chris Jones is very, very close friends with general manager Brett Veach. Well, I hope so. He was drafted in the second round in 2016 out of Mississippi State. And you got to give credit to Veach for finding a talent in that round and with that pick. Because some of those second round selections you could botch on, Jones was not a botch. He was a home run. And he's definitely a top 100 NFL player, for sure. And he's probably the second most important player in the Kansas City Chiefs, next to Patrick Mahomes. With Jones being locked up now, maybe they have a potential dynasty. And the jokes were, when Mahomes got his contract, they didn't think they signed anyone else. So Mahomes posted on his Twitter as a joke, and y'all thought we couldn't ... 3 laughing emoji straight NVM, which basically shorthanded for never mind. Hashtag run it back. And you know how pumped up Patrick Mahomes is about the entire situation. I mean, that's pretty good that you got Chris Jones. Next contract. And I was thinking about this. Derrick Henry is signing a 4-year deal. According to Jay Glazer. Want to know how much he's getting guaranteed? Around he's getting $50 million total. At least 25.5 of it is guaranteed money. So, with the $50 million and the $25.5 million guaranteed, it's going to be interesting with this team's window. Here's the deal. Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry are there the next 4 years. I'll tell you who's also there the next 3 to 4 years. Wide receiver A.J. Brown. You got your core players on offense. Oh, and you got Taylor Lewan. Those are your core players. Defense. You got some very good guys. Kevin Byard, Jaron Brown, Rashaan Evans, Harold Landry, Jeffrey Simmons, who they're very high on up front. Here's the question. And I was thinking about this yesterday. Will the Tennessee Titans appear in at least one Super Bowl over the next 4 years to potentially win it. And you gotta say, you know what? You gotta say yes. And I know you all think mine might be crazy. But let's think of it this way. They got a good owner. You need a good owner. You need a good general manager who has an eye for talent. John Robinson's got an eye for talent. And you need a head coach who's won Super Bowls and knows the culture about winning. Mike Vrabel. He's won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots. Got the Titans to the AFC Championship game last year. And he knows a thing or two about bouncing back. And another thing to keep an eye on with the Titans is that Jadeveon Clowney is still on the market. And if the Tennessee Titans land Jadeveon Clowney, the Tennessee Titans may go to the Super Bowl next year. And it's all going to depend on what happens with Kansas City and Baltimore. And here's the thing that I said about here's the thing about Tennessee too. Tennessee did beat Kansas City in the regular season last year, even with Patrick Mahomes throwing for 453 yards. Special teams was the reason why Tennessee won that game. And Tannehill made a couple more plays, and then you had a blocked field goal, and then you had some other crazy stuff in that game. And then they hung around with them in the AFC Championship game until they pulled away in the fourth quarter. They lost 35-24. And they did actually wind up upsetting the Baltimore Ravens last year in the AFC Divisional round. They made Lamar Jackson look ordinary and into a pocket passer. And he did run over 100 yards, but it was like, what? He didn't do much of it when the game mattered. So let's not pretend that the Tennessee Titans have hit their ceiling. And I keep trying to tell my brother Ben that this team has not hit the ceiling. No, I think the Tennessee Titans could absolutely get to another gear. I think Derrick Henry's very good. Ryan Tannehill, I don't think is a lightning in a bottle. Because I think they have the right coaching. I think they have the right personnel for him to succeed. And he's very good at play action. Oh, and he could burn you on the run. He's much more smart and athletic than I think Marcus Mariota was or ever will be. I think it was maybe just the Miami Dolphins organization, but then yet again, Brian Flores is creating his own culture there, and maybe they have their own quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa. Let's not pretend that the Tennessee Titans don't know what they're doing, because they are. The Tennessee Titans, I think, will get to at least one and maybe win one in the next 4 years. I'm not saying they're not going to win 2, 3, or 4. That's not happening. When one, get to one, that's absolutely, I think, in reach. Derrick Henry, last year played in 15 games, rushed for 1,540 yards on 303 carries and 16 touchdowns. He also caught 18 passes for 206 yards, 2 touchdowns. Had 24 total targets, and his longest catch was 75 yards. So Derrick Henry is a downright monster. Next, since Derrick Henry's off the market, he is going to be off the market. Since he's off the market now, I will get to the other running back market in a minute. But let's obviously be real here. Derrick Henry will also get some carries taken off of him this year because of the rookie they drafted Darrynton Evans. So even though Derrick Henry is the RB Hartzell on the Tennessee Titans offense because they run their offense through him, he's going to be he's going to be fresh this year, and it's going to set up for even more breakable runs, and depending how good this Evans running back could potentially be. So I'm going to stay with the running back free agent class of 2021. Derrick Henry was going to be on that list. But now let's take a look at the other running backs that might be on the list as well. Dalvin Cook, Minnesota Vikings. Alvin Kamara, New Orleans Saints. Aaron Jones, Green Bay Packers. Joe Mixon, Cincinnati Bengals. Kenyon Drake, Arizona Cardinals. Todd Gurley, Atlanta Falcons. Leonard Fournette, Jacksonville Jaguars. James Conner, Pittsburgh Steelers. Matt Bryden, Miami Dolphins. Philip Lindsay, Denver Broncos. Kareem Hunt, Cleveland Browns. James White, New England Patriots. Tariq Cohen, Chicago Bears. Marlon Mack, Indianapolis Colts, and others. This is according to Field Yates for ESPN nonetheless. So, let's see which running backs will stay. Dalvin Cook, Minnesota. 50-50. It's going to depend if Alexander Mattison breaks out or not. If Alexander Mattison breaks out, Dalvin Cook is gone. If Mattison doesn't break out, Cook stays. Alvin Kamara and the Saints. I think they keep him around. Aaron Jones and the Packers. Let's see what he does this year. I know Matt LaFleur loves him a lot. Joe Mixon. I think he stays in Cincinnati. Kenyon Drake, Arizona Cardinals. I think he's going to stay because I think the offense is going to flourish this year. Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake, DeAndre Hopkins. And then Todd Gurley, Atlanta Falcons. It's all going to depend how it's going to work. Leonard Fournette, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he's gone. He will play this year. He's not holding out. No, Leonard Fournette, is going to show up. I don't think he'll be back there next year, though. James Conner, Pittsburgh Steelers. He's from the University of Pittsburgh. He's a feel-good story with the Steelers. Maybe he comes back for cheap, but I'm not sure if he's their answer long-term. Matt Bryden, Miami Dolphins. We'll see how he does. Philip Lindsay, Denver Broncos. I think they like him. I think he stays for cheap. Kareem Hunt, Cleveland Browns. All going to depend how it works in this system. I think it's all going to depend on what happens this year with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, how Kevin Stefanski uses his offense. I'm going to say for right now, maybe unless Kareem Hunt's going to want to chase the money. James White, New England, I think he stays. Tariq Cohen, Chicago Bears, I think Matt Nagy likes him a lot. He'll stay. Marlon Mack, Indianapolis Colts, I think he's out. I think the rookie Jonathan Taylor's going to break out. I do like Mack, Nyheim Hines, and Jordan Wilkins, but I think Mack is going to be the odd man out and want money somewhere else because I think he's personally capable of starting, even though you got to give general manager Chris Ballard a lot of credit for drafting these tailbacks. So, since I've blown your brains out for the last 33 minutes about the NFL, let's switch topics. Let me switch topics. And let me talk about... Okay, I'm going to have to take my time with this here. I didn't realize I kind of go through this a little quickly, but thank goodness for the Washington story today with all that. That took, 20 some odd minutes to start the show? And that was great with the whole popcorn, me telling you the drama, and there's going to be some more. This is all going to be so interesting. Excuse me. So with the NHL expected to lead for the bubble in Edmonton and Toronto next Friday, July 24th, I might as well break down my top 10 teams entering the bubble for the postseason. Number 10, the Edmonton Oilers. This team could surprise people in the postseason. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are leading the way for the Edmonton Oilers. Here's the thing about the Oilers. Will they get help if those two can't get any offense? Well, you got Andreas Athanasiou and James Neal and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So those guys are not bad at all. Not bad. I think they have two very good lines that can win them a series or two, but they don't have the third or fourth lines to win the whole thing. Not yet. But you got to give credit to Ken Holland and new general manager Dave Tippett their first years. They fixed a lot up in the first year. They really did. They fixed a lot up. They fixed a lot overnight. Give them another year or two, and maybe they will be contending seriously for the next 5-10 years like the Pittsburgh Penguins. Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith will be the goalies that David Tippett has to decide to start under him. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work. Number 9, the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm not, even though I had them in my top 10, I have to have them in my top 10 because I feel like standard-wise, because a lot of people get on me for it. But there are a lot of reasons why I'm potentially not sold on this team. I mean, you got Marc-Andre Fleury between the pipes. But do they have a true go-to guy late in the game to score goals when they need one? I know it sounds weird in hockey say, do they have a guy go-to late in the game when you need a goal to tie it or win it? I know it sounds weird. It's not like basketball. Do you need a guy to hit a clutch basket or so? But I don't know if they have it. Max Pacioretty, William Karlsson, Jonathan Marchessault, Riley Smith. I mean, Colin Miller. I don't think this team, I personally don't think Vegas is very deep. Oh, and Alex Tuch? He's not a bad player, but I just think they played over the heads when they fired Gerard Gallant and Peter DeBoer took over as the head coach. So let's see. I'm not comfortable about it, but we'll see how far they go and see how they do in the round-robin games. Number 8, Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars are a better hockey team than people give them credit for. And even though I only have them at number 8, I think it's the right spot. The Dallas Stars have a very, very, very strong top 2 lines, I think. You got Joe Pavelski, Corey Perry, Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Radek Vaska. You got Ropins. Jamie Benn. You got a lot of good players on their top 2 lines. The X factor for the Dallas Stars is their 3rd and 4th line. If they could generate any sort of offense, they could go to the conference finals. And they got Miro Heiskanen on the back end. And you also have John Klingberg on the back end. Oh, and you have a very reliable goalie in Ben Bishop. Shocker. That's not a surprise. And even when they got rid of their head coach, it was Jim Montgomery due to the issues that were going on in the NHL at the time with Bill Peters, and that's what was happening. And the Dallas Stars, they didn't skip a beat at all. Rick Bowman, they're listening to him. They're just basically playing the same game, and it didn't affect the Calgary Flames either. So Dallas is one of those teams that's like, Dallas is a team's like, when your opponent, you're like, we could beat these guys. I think we should beat them, but we better be careful because if we don't play our game, we're going to lose to these guys. Number 7. The Philadelphia Flyers. The team shocked people during the regular season, but will they lose all momentum now? They'll be playing in the round of robin, and I'm curious to see how they're going to look. And Carter Hart, their goaltender, basically mentioned, this is what I've been waiting my whole life for. And this is a kid that even though I'm not a huge Flyers guy at all, this is a guy you could absolutely root for. He's smart. He knows the game well. He's respectable. And all his teammates like him, and he's not a diva. That's what he is. Carter Hart, I think may win a Stanley Cup one day, but I think all the momentum in the world for the Philadelphia Flyers might have magically disappeared when the virus hit. You have Claude Giroux, Travis Konecny, Sean Couturier, Jakub Voracek. Oh, and give a round of applause for Oscar Lindblom for completing all of his cancer treatment. And for ringing the bell I saw last week or 2 weeks ago on Twitter, good for him. And Alain Vigneault has done a very good job of coaching the team. And Claude Giroux is the captain. And let's see if he finally breaks through the jokes of him not winning a Stanley Cup. It's going to happen again because the Flyers have not won a playoff series since 2012 against the Pittsburgh Penguins in 6 games. It's been 8-9 years for that guy. Number 6, speaking of the Pittsburgh Penguins, they're number 6 on my list. Sidney Crosby's on a mission. So is the rest of the squad, nonetheless. Jake Guentzel returns from his shoulder injury. He suffered back in December against the Ottawa Senators. And head coach Mike Sullivan is absolutely pleased with the way he's looking. Evgeny Malkin's on a mission. Jason Zucker. Patrick Hornquist had a quarantine the other day. But I think he's going to be okay. You got John Moreno. A lot of Penguins reporters are very impressed with John Moreno. I think John Moreno is the best defenseman on the Pittsburgh Penguins roster. And I know what you're all saying. Chris Letang, stop. No, Chris Letang's not the best defenseman on the Penguins. And I thought it was Justin Schultz. But it's John Moreno. Because John Moreno is an anchor on the blue line. And when he got hurt, John Moreno, the blue line, and they started losing, and the blue line was in shambles until he came back and they started winning again before the pandemic. You don't understand how important Moreno is, and you don't understand how good his IQ is for a rookie. And he's probably not going to win the Calder because that's probably going to Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche, who I've been sold on ever since day one. And I'm going to get to the Colorado Avalanche on here in probably a few moments on here. Next up, number 5. Oh, before I get to number 5, let's see who's going to be the goalie for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Matt Murray or Tristan Jarry. Probably going to be Murray. But probably you're going to see a lot of unhappy Penguins fans. And you're probably going to see, if he doesn't do well, Jarry get in. I'm real curious to see how that's going to work out. And I know they released a schedule for the qualifying round. And the qualifying round is going to feature overtime, 5 minutes in a shootout. It's not the entire playoffs. Remember my Uncle Frank's like, whoa, they're going to do this for the entire playoffs? He's like, oh, okay, I understand. Because you can't do it for the playoffs. And for the entire playoffs, my dad's like, yeah, I guess you have to do it just to get through these games. And then you worry about it in the first round, second round, the conference finals, and the Stanley Cup finals. Excuse me. The 5th best team that I think heading into the postseason, the Washington Capitals. I think this is a very physical hockey team on all 4 lines. Braden Holtby will most likely be the starting goalie over Ilya Samsonov in the postseason. This could be Alex Ovechkin's last good chance in winning it all. A tremendous goal scorer for this hockey club. And I mean, when you've been playing with Nicklas Backstrom and Evgeny Kuznetsov for all these years, excuse me, well, you better hope you could try and win at least 1 or 2 more. You also got Tom Wilson, Jakub Vrana, and TJ Oshie. And the thing about the Capitals is their physicality along with their speed and skill could pose some problems for a lot of teams. Pittsburgh Penguins, it's one of them. The Flyers is another. Tampa Bay, they don't like physicality either. And the one team that the Boston Bruins may not want to face is them. because they can match that physicality up the middle and down the ice. That's the way the Capitals play. That's the way they play. And Ovechkin is the Harvey Hartzell of the Capitals. And he's ready to hoist that thing again. And it would be very good for his legacy if that happened. But it's all going to depend on Todd Reederin, the head coach, if he's willing to make adjustments. If he does not make adjustments and they get bounced in the first round again, you have to wonder, did they make a monster mistake in letting Barry Trotz go? That's probably the obvious answer. But, as I've always say on this show, right? As I always say on the show, time is going to tell. Nonetheless, and we'll see what happens. Number 4, the Colorado Avalanche. This team, the team that I think is ready to get to the finals since for the first time since winning all in 2001 against the New Jersey Devils in 7 games. That was Raymond Bourque, Joe Sakic, and Patrick Waugh. That Colorado Avalanche team was good. I'm not saying that this 2019-2020 version matches that team. What I am saying is, this is the best Colorado Avalanche team since then. And I know that they were very good in 2013-2014 when Nathan MacKinnon was a rookie. And that was where they had the best record in the West. Patrick Waugh was coaching, but they lost in 7 games to Minnesota Wild. All those games were like 5-4, 6-5, 7-6, whatever the scores were. That's what the scores were during those times. Because Nathan MacKinnon is a downright beast. And so is Mikko Rantanen. And here's the thing. Will Nazem Kadri finally get himself out of trouble because he's been suspended the last 2 postseasons with the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Boston Bruins? And Kadri's got to be like, hey, I'm finally happy I'm not playing Boston anymore. I finally can win myself maybe a Stanley Cup. Unless he faces the Bruins in the finals. And his mentality is going to strike again that I can't beat this blanking hockey team. And I think I could see that. But I think this is the best Colorado team since then. Jared Bednar, a very terrific head coach. Philip Grubauer will be the starting goalie. Let's hope he can redeem himself from the 2017-2018 postseason. He played in the starting first 2 games until Hope he had to replace him. You know the rest of the story there, Capitals fans. You know the rest of the story. And then you got Tyson Jost, Gabriel Landeskog, Andrei Burakovsky, Jonas Donskoy, Vladislav Namestnikov, Carl Wilson, also some of the key players on this roster. You got a solid blue line with Ian Cole, who won 2 Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2015-2016 and 2016 and 2017. You also have Samuel Girard and Cale Makar. Girard was in the trade with the Nashville Predators a couple of years ago. And then you have Cale Makar. Very good on the blue line. Oh, and you also got to give credit to Pavel Francois, who's the backup goalie, who I think has been very solid for them this year. Number 3, the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis is one of the best stories under Craig Berube. And let's see if they will go back-to-back since the 2016-2017 Pittsburgh Penguins. We will see what happens, though, nonetheless. So I'm curious to see what St. Louis and how St. Louis is going to be in the Stanley Cup. As I was just saying with Pittsburgh going back-to-back in 2015, 2016, 2016, 2017, when they beat the Sharks in 16 and 6 games and the Predators in 17 and 6 games. So let's see if the Blues will be on that side of history as well. Or will they maybe pull a Washington Capitals and lose in the first round or not go back-to-back? I think they have what it takes. Alex Pietrangelo, Vladimir Tarasenko, Ryan O'Reilly, and Jordan Binnington, I think, are the most four most important players on this team. And Vladimir Tarasenko's coming back from his shoulder injury. And if Vladimir Tarasenko's as close to the goal scorer he is, then they may not be beaten out west, let alone maybe win the whole thing again. Oh, and you got Vince Dunn, who's potentially on the blue line, and he could score as well. An X factor for this team. And Sammy Blais is another guy on this roster. Oh, and you got Oscar Sundqvist. Very good. And you have Jaden Schwartz, Alexander Steen. This Blues team, I think, has what it takes to go back-to-back. Oh, and Robert Thomas, who just is just a fourth line. He's just a fourth line pest. Number 2, the Tampa Bay Lightning. 4 lines deep, the best goalie in the league in Andrei Vasilevsky, and a solid defense led by Victor Hedman, and Ryan McDonagh will be interesting. Steven Stamkos, dealing with a lower or body injury right now. He probably should be ready to go when the round robin begins. Braden Point, JT Brown, and Nikita Kucherov are their 4 best players on the roster scoring-wise. This team has a chance to win it all this season. So let me get to say this right now before I continue. Use promo code 12OZSports, all cash for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. So, this team has a very good chance to win it all this year. Yeah, we said that last year. Was this their best chance to win it all because they won the President's Trophy? But they were swept in 4 games against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And they're not going to have to worry about that this season because the Boston Bruins won the President's Trophy. So, will the Tampa Bay Lightning pull a redemption story like the University of Virginia in college basketball when they lost to UMBC as the 16th seed in the NCAA in 2018? And then they won it all the next year in 2019 against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Nonetheless, so I'm curious to see how this is all going to work out for the Tampa Bay. So I'm curious just to see how this is all going to work out for the Tampa Bay Lightning, nonetheless, here in the postseason. Nonetheless, number 1, last but not least, the Boston Bruins. Why should you be surprised? They were the President's Trophy winner. I thought they were probably the best team during the regular season, even though I think Tampa Bay, I personally think Tampa Bay is going to beat them in the playoffs. But I just think for right now, you have to list the Boston Bruins at number 1. The Boston Bruins. This is a really good and structured hockey team under head coach Bruce Cassidy. He is finally getting recognized as one of the best head coaches in the NHL. They were one game away from winning it all last season. Boston hasn't won it all since 2011 in 7 games against the Vancouver Canucks in the Tim Thomas days, but they have been there twice since 2013 and 2019. Lost in 6 games to Chicago Blackhawks in the shortened season in 2013. And they lost in 7 games to the St. Louis Blues in 2019. So Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, and Patrice Bergeron's the best line in hockey. Jake DeBrusk needs to step up big time. Zdeno Chara may retire after this season. Charlie McAvoy, Charlie Coyle, Torrey Krug is a solid back end with Tuukka Rask between the pipes and Yaroslav Halak backing up. Andre Kay, Sean Kuraly, Nick Ritchie, and David Krejci will need to step up nonetheless for the Boston Bruins. Use promo code 12OZSports, all cash for deposit bonus up to $1,000 from my bookie. So, my last topic for the NHL today is the Hart Trophy finalists and the Jack Adams finalists. Those were announced. So, your finalists, for the Hart Trophy, Leon Draisaitl of the Edmonton Oilers, Artemi Panarin of the New York Rangers, and Nathan MacKinnon of the Colorado Avalanche are the finalists for this award. I think Draisaitl wins it. Simply because, I think that MacKinnon was on the best team, and sometimes they usually do that, but I think you got to give it to Draisaitl because of that hot stretch you went on for 2 weeks without Connor McDavid They were one of the better teams in the NHL this year. I had them in my top 10 for a reason, heading into the bubble. So I think Draisaitl wins the MVP. I think McKinnon comes in second, and I think Panarin finishes in third. I think Panarin finishes in third because, I'm going to say this basically because, what would have happened had there not been a coronavirus? Would have Panarin even made a finalist anyways? We don't know. We don't know how it played out. Nah, they made the playoffs. Did I just say it like that? Playoffs? Playoffs? You're talking about we can't even win a dang game? So it's like, so I see Panarin finishing last in the voting system nonetheless. So I thought Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers or Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin of the Pittsburgh Penguins would get nominated, but they may be nominated for the NHLPA Ted Lindsay Award, which is voted by the NHLPA, and Connor McDavid's basically racked up a couple of those. He may win another, unless his teammate Draisaitl or McKinnon steals it from him this year. Lastly but not least, Jack Adams finalists. Bruce Cassidy of the Boston Bruins, John Tortorella of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Alain Vigneault of the Philadelphia Flyers are the finalists for this award. I think Bruce Cassidy wins it, and I think it's about time he gets recognized as one of the better coaches in the NHL. I know you had Claude Julien for all those years, and no one talked about how good Bruce Cassidy is, and it's about time they finally realize how good he is. Because Bruce Cassidy is really, really good. He knows his stuff. They don't talk about him because they don't like the Boston Bruins. They don't like Brad Marchand. They don't like David Pastrnak. They don't like Patrice Bergeron. But you can't give them enough credit to where it's due. They usually don't beat themselves, and that's what you want from a coach, right? You want to discipline your players. That's what Boston does best. They're usually disciplined, but Brad Marchand is usually out of control. So I'm glad, and I think you should win it, and I'm finally happy someone acknowledged this. I mean, really, I'm finally glad someone acknowledged this. And then I think Tortorella is going to finish second, and I think Vigneault finishes third in voting. I think Mike Sullivan of the Pittsburgh Penguins got highway robbed big time for this finalist award nonetheless. He always gets robbed, but maybe he'll walk away with the Stanley Cup this year. Yeah, that's a nice consolation prize, right? And I think also Jared Bednar, the Colorado Avalanche, also got robbed here, though, nonetheless, because both of those coaches had to deal with injuries this year. Sullivan more than Bednar, but you have to give credit to both of those coaches. Personally, they might have both maybe should have deserved it over Tortorella and Vigneault, but maybe Tortorella deserved to be on it more than Vigneault, but okay, whatever. I guess here, nonetheless, with the coaches, we'll see what happens, nonetheless. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend as well. Nonetheless, I will be back on the air at the same time on Monday. I'll go over some more of the Washington football team drama, NBA and NHL topics. Nonetheless, I have more regarding the 2020 NFL season, MLB opening day. Nonetheless, use promo code 12OC Sports, all cash for deposit bonus up to $1,000 from MyBookie.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final show of the week for Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only king on the ice himself, Philly Pete, and we are live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. Good afternoon to my East Coasters, my rising shiners out west. Good morning. Get that coffee ready to go because we are in for another action-packed day for Pete's Power Plays. And what can I say? I can't wait. End of the week. This show goes by so fast. All the weeks go by so fast because there's just so much to talk about when it comes to the NHL and sports in general. NHL Sports Capping is in full effect. I've been waiting for this for like the last 4 months now since we've been in quarantine. Thank God that we can finally get back into the action now with NHL Sports Capping from yours truly. And man, do I have another action-packed show for you all today. But first and foremost, before we get into the action, please, 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 ladies and gentlemen, please get into mybookie.ag. When signing up for an account for MyBookie, please make sure you use the promo code 12ounce sports. That's 12OZ sports, all one word, when signing up for your account. And on top of that, they will match your deposit up to $1,000. So once again, mybookie.ag, sign up for an account. When doing so, use the promo code 12ounce sports, all one word, 12OZ sports. And when doing so, they will match your first deposit up to $1,000. You really don't want to miss a chance to cash out all these tickets that we have for you, whether it's NBA, NHL, baseball, football is right around the corner as well, soccer, whatever it may be. Please use mybookie.ag. And again, 12ounce sports has a bunch of sports cappers. Not only myself, but you have Pop DiBiase as well. He does a very good job when it comes to football, and he has very good leans when it comes to baseball as well and basketball. He is the guy to go when it comes to those situations and sports. But most importantly, everybody on 12ounce sports, we have our own unique ways when it comes to sports capping 101. So here you have it. Philly Pete, of course, myself, host of Pete's Power Plays. Thank you all for tuning in. But once again, mybookie.ag, 12ounce sports is the promo code. They will match your deposit up to $1,000. Now that sports is right around the corner. Now, if you're not ready, or if you really don't want to be betting on soccer, which all of the main leagues are up right now, mybookie.ag has a great casino that you could basically scratch the itch for. So whether if you like blackjack, poker, whatever it may be, roulette, if you're not a soccer guy, make sure you use the MyBookie casino because it is good and it will not disappoint you. So once again, mybookie.ag, 12ounce sports, as the promo code, they will match your deposit up to $1,000. Also, Zingo TV has added our sports, 12ounce sports, to their list of networks and a channel now. So you guys make sure, and ladies, of course, you sign up for a Zingo TV account. It's simple enough. Just download the app on your smart TV. And when doing an account, make sure you use the promo code 12ounce. 12OZ. That is it. Simple as that. And from there, you all could be streaming not only my show, but every other person's show on whether it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, whatever it may be, but Zingo TV is the way to go. Channel 761, that is 761. Tune in now, 12ounce as your promo code. And again, you could be streaming all these phenomenal shows that the 12ounce sports team, including myself, that we can provide to you all during these crazy, crazy times. So once again, 12ounce as 12OZ as the promo code when you sign up for a Zingo TV account. And from there, you will be able to tune in live right now. And I am talking to you as I am saying this. So there you have it, Zingo TV. Thank you guys again. So once again, this is a Thursday episode of Pete's Power Plays, July 16th, 2020, hosted by Philly Pete himself. And what can I say? You know, hockey is back in form. We have next week starts MLB. Baseball's first games of the season is next Thursday, the 23rd of July. And we're rocking and rolling now. We're into the driver's seat when it comes to these sports returning. And it's great to hear. It's so nice. It's so nice. I'm so happy. But let's get into it. First and foremost, last night's AEW Fight for the Fallen was a phenomenal show. I enjoyed it. I know my wife enjoyed it. We went a little bit back and forth on the matches. It was great. It was great. It was awesome. It was well-rounded matches. The Jurassic Express versus the Elite match was probably the best of the night. Those guys can wrestle. Those kids can wrestle. You know, especially Jungle Boy Jack. He's one of those young AEW talents that is going to be the face for the franchise in the future. He is awesome. I love everything about him. Luchasaurus, and everybody in general. Also, Marco Stunt as well is another side of that team, that trio as well. And unfortunately, they came up short to the Inner Circle last night. I mean, not Inner Circle, the Elite. Excuse me. Kenny Omega with the V trigger on Marco with a 1-2-3 victory for the Elite. That was a big win for them. I was surprised, but it makes sense here. It makes sense. Jurassic Express has been on a tear as of late, and honestly, I just think that this match, it was deserving of the Elite. So, but again, Fight for the Fallen was an amazing show last night. Jon Moxley did retain his AEW championship against Brian Cage. Like I said, the Elite beat the Jurassic Express. The Nightmare Sisters of Brandy Rhodes and Allie, they kicked some butt last night as well when they won a match against two scrubs in the women's division. I'm sorry to say that, but it was an easy victory for Allie and Brandy Rhodes. Cody retained the TNT Championship against Sonny Kiss, and what a match as well. Sonny Kiss gave it his all. It was such a great match. Back and forth. Sonny Kiss even hit the Crossroads, Cody's finisher, on him. So that was really epic. It was a great match. A very great sign of emotion from Sonny Kiss. I know in defeat, but it was a hell of a match for both of them. Cody was numbered. He was outnumbered by Sonny Kiss. And, of course, the Crossroads, a big Crossroads, I should say, at the end is what did it for Sonny Kiss. And great sign of respect at the end of the match, too. Sonny Kiss, his momentum is greatly appreciated in AEW, and he is going to be on the rise with this match. He gave it his all to Cody, and a great sign of respect at the end of that match for sure. You also had FTR defeat the Lucha Brothers by a very, very well-rounded. I don't want to say a finisher, but basically a way to win a match. Dash Harwood from FTR removed the Rey Fenix's mask, and by there, that's religion for Mexicans, and the lucha wrestling, I should say, when it comes to that, it's very respectful. It's very religious when it comes to their mask. So when they get it taken off, they don't want to show their faces, because it's just it's how religious they are with these masks, and that's why they wear them. So it was removed. And Dash Harwood did a little schoolboy pin for a 1-2-3. FTR won that match as well. And that was, overall, it was a great show. It was a great show, great matches, and I was very happy. Next week's show is going to be loaded. So I cannot wait to talk about that next week on Pete's Power Plays. So moving on real quick. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Thursday, July 16th episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only King on the Ice himself, Philly Pete. And again, we are live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. Tune in right now. And what can I say? It's been a phenomenal week. Again, I'm going to be talking more about hockey as the days continue on my show. So you'll be getting all the updated odds for Stanley Cup conferences, also the series, and of course the game one. I know I mentioned the first set of games on Tuesday on my show. I mentioned that, but I will get into the absolute heart of the picks for me as soon as it's right around the corner. So, but for now, moving on, we're going to talk about the Eastern Conference odds right now, and then I'll go to Western Conference, and then we will go into the NHL news, and last but not least, we will talk about the series spreads, basically, of all of the qualifying series matches. Yes, the total games played, and my leans as to what I think is going to be, where I'm going in those sort of prop plays for the qualifying series. So real quick, Eastern Conference updates: Boston 2-1, Hurricanes 25-1, Jackets 30-1, Florida 30-1, Montreal 40-1. The Islanders 25-1, Rangers 25-1, Flyers 4-1, Pittsburgh 7-1, Tampa 3-1, Toronto 12-1, and Washington 4-1. Not much has changed in this. The top four seeds are basically as perfect as it was last week when I talked about it. Pittsburgh is also up there at 7-1. So again, these are five powerhouse teams. Obviously, the top five teams representing the Eastern Conference for the NHL playoffs. And what can I say? I mean, this is this is just going to be top-notch hockey right now. Again, the long shot here with Toronto at 12-1, that did not change. That is still there as well. Rangers 25-1, I believe they did not change either. And nothing really changed in the Eastern Conference odds right now. So it's still anyone's game in the Eastern Conference, let alone any team in general. It's anyone's game. Western Conference, Arizona 20-1, Calgary 20-1, Chicago 37-1. Avalanche, they went up a little bit. They were 5-1, now they're 4-1. Dallas Stars was 6-1, now they're up to a 5-1. Edmonton 12-1, Minnesota Wild 30-1, Preds 13-1. I believe they were 15-1 last week or 2 weeks ago. They're up to 13-1 now. Blues 3-1. I believe they were 4-1 last week. Now they're 3-1. Canucks 20-1. Knights, they did jump. They were a 3-1. Now they're a 2-1 now. And then the Jets 25-1. Again, nothing substantial has changed. Just a little bit between the Avalanche going from 5-1 to 4-1. The Stars going from 6-1 to 5-1. Preds, like I said, I think we're a 15-1. Now they're a 13-1. Blues are a 3-1. Golden Knights a 2-1 from a 3-1. So more money is pouring in on the Knights to win the Western Conference. And they're the clear favorite. But I don't. Again, this is another. This is just like the Eastern Conference. You have the top 4, top 5 powerhouses that are just. You need to get a bang for your buck when it comes to these plays here. And I did mention on the show here that Toronto in the East, Edmonton in the West are good value picks at 12-1 respectively. You put $100 down, and they win the Eastern Western Conference. You're getting back $1,200. Simple as that. Hell, if you put $100 on each, that's a whopping $2,400 you get back. I mean, what can I say? This is why you got to do this. This is why I love taking value plays here. And these two teams, Edmonton and Toronto, I know they host the hub cities as well. Obviously, no clear advantage because of no fans, but again, they're just used to playing there. And at 12-1, I just feel like these are the best odds when it comes to cashing a really, really good value ticket here. And again, under the radar teams that you could pick here. I mean, Vancouver at 20-1 is not bad. You also have Predators at 13-1. I know they went up a little bit. Some money is heading into Nashville's way, and now at 13-1. So that's not a bad value ticket as well. You can take chalk. Obviously, you can absolutely take chalk here, but it's just more or less talking about what team, because it's anyone's game here. Anyone could take the West, anyone could take the East. Because these teams haven't played in 4 months. You don't know what you're not expecting, the typical, gridiron, fist for fist fury sort of hockey action. I mean, this is just going to be it's a new season. Things have changed, obviously, ever since this quarantine and pandemic hit us 4 months ago. We don't know how these teams are going to turn out. Everyone's going to be rusty. It's going to be sloppy. That's why, personally, I love the overs. I love the overs in all these games because you're going to see goals. I mean, you're going to see goals, and there's going to be slip-ups here and there. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. So, but once again, this is just how it's going to be, and it's anyone's game, really. I mean, the Blackhawks at 37-1. Hey, listen, if you want to take a value play on that, by all means, do it. They had the experience. They've been there before. I know they're older, but again, this is just hockey coming back now. And all the sports in general coming back. You should take value plays on a long shot that you don't think is going to have a shot, of course. But the fact that it's anyone's game, I mean, hell, you could see, Minnesota Wild 30-1 representing the Western Conference in the Stanley Cup at 30-1. Imagine those odds. You put $100 down, you're $3,000 richer if they hit the Stanley Cup. I mean, simple as that. It's always worth taking the dogs, and I mean the heavy dogs. Even put a $10 voucher on it. $10 wins you $300 for the Minnesota Wild to represent the West. So again, you don't know what you're expecting when these games come back for sure. And these teams it's going to be sloppy hockey. And again, you just got to go where the heart is. It's anyone's game. It's a free for all. You really have no idea what to expect. Like I said, this is why all these high-end odds for dogs, it's a reason why to take them. So, with that being said, again, I'm still sticking with my standards with the dark horses, Western Conference, Eastern Conference. Edmonton and Toronto both at 12-1, I feel like are really good values. you lay a 50 piece on it, you're getting $600 if they do come out of the West. But again, it all depends on how the chemistry of the teams are, because again, they haven't played in 4 months as a team. So we will see. It's always about this experience. That teams have always been together for this long. And just how they're going to voucher up to each other again. Playing side by side once again after it's been a very, very long time. So, but Western Eastern Conference odds. There you have it. Nothing more to say. Not much substantially has changed. Like I said, a couple of half point odds went up into a different favor. Like the Knights went from 3-1 to 2-1 now. Full point. Predators went up from 15 to 13. So I mean, again, a little bit, nothing crazy. So that basically will wrap up the odds for the Western Conference and Eastern Conference odds and winners. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Thursday, July 16th episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only King on the Ice himself, Philly Pete. And again, we are live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. I hope everyone's having a phenomenal day. And some news real quick. But before I get into this, once again, mybookie.ag. Please make sure you use the promo code 12 Ounce Sports 12OZ Sports, all one word, when making your account on MyBookie. Once again, mybookie.ag. 12 Ounce Sports is the promo code, and they will match your first deposit up to $1,000. You really don't want to miss your chance to cash out these large tickets on NHL, NBA, MLB, football, soccer, whatever it may be. Also, if that is not soothing your pain, MyBookie is a phenomenal casino, and it's great. It's great. So if you're a casino guy, blackjack, roulette, whatever it may be, mybookie.ag is the way to go. Also, Zingo TV. Make sure you download the app on your smart TV. And when doing so, make sure you make an account with Zingo TV using the promo code 12Ounce, 12OZ. You don't want to miss all of the live shows that we can give to you during these times. And channel 761. Channel 761. Tune in right now. You'll be hearing my voice loud and clear over your TV. And again, thank you to the fellows out there at Zingo TV for hooking 12 Ounce out there with their own channel. So, and again, you can always find other blogs and articles on 12OunceSportsRadio.com. So here we are. Last segment of the show here. I want to discuss, some updated NHL news, and then I will get into the total games played leans of mine. Again, I did talk about yesterday how Corey Crawford, the goaltender for the Chicago Blackhawks, may not be quote-unquote fitted for the NHL playoffs. So they're going to be looking forward to their second and third stringers. So stay tuned to that. The NHL did release its first commercial promoting the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs. And, I mean, if it doesn't give you the chills, I don't know what will. It's we're getting the hype up now. You've been seeing a lot of the NBA returning on ESPN, let alone any channel. You've been seeing a lot of return of the NBA commercials, which has been pumping me up. NHL now, they finally released theirs. It's obviously building the hype for the return of the season. And yesterday they released their first Stanley Cup commercial promoting the 2020 playoffs. And of course, the commercial begins with the clip of Alex Ovechkin, which is obviously an immediate clue that this is going to be a great commercial. You also see clips of Justin Williams, the Flower himself, Marc-Andre Fleury, with his incredible glove save, dramatic shots of the cup, and obviously much more. And I mean, the song could be a little bit better. It's The Greatest Show by Panic at the Disco. I mean, I'm not in high school anymore, and that's probably the last time I ever heard of Panic at the Disco was in high school. So I think they could have done a little bit better than that, maybe more of a pump-up song than that, because I know that doesn't get me excited whatsoever. Sorry for you Panic at the Disco fans, but that's just not for me. However, it is a great commercial, and here we go, August 1st. We are live soon enough. We are there. It's 15 days, not even 16 days away. So 2 weeks from Saturday, we are in hockey season. August 1st, here we have it. And again, nothing could be better than this right now. And I can't wait. I love it. So once again, if you haven't seen the commercial for the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs yet, please do it. But maybe mute the TV if doing so, unless if you're a big Panic at the Disco fan, which I am not. But again, it's all good. And honestly, anything else in terms of the NHL news, there really hasn't been much in the world as of yesterday nor today, besides what I described to you on the early days of my show on Tuesday and yesterday. But there you have it. So here we go. Let's get into this. NHL Capping 101 with yours truly, Pete's Power Plays, and Philly Pete, excuse me. And of course, I'm the host of Pete's Power Plays. Again, it's almost a weekend, and I cannot wait. So rest assured, here we are back in the mix, and total leans. I'm doing this for you guys because this is another situation where you can consider a lot of dogs in this situation here. So series lines, total games played. So Pittsburgh and Montreal. So will the series go more than 4 games? That's the heaviest juice on this menu right now. So Pens, Habs over 3.5 games played at -360. That is a lot. That makes, again, this to me is a 5-game series. So over 4.5 games played, yeah. I mean, that's +170. You could take that. I love that value play as well. Everything else under 3.5. So basically, if Pittsburgh were to sweep, or if the Habs were to sweep, the under 3.5 is at 270, +270. I don't see it happening. I really do not see that happening whatsoever. Again, the over 4.5 games played for this series at +170 is probably where the money is. And that's where I am leaning, because I've been saying on the course of my shows that this is going to be a 5-game series, because why not? Why not? So +170 for the over 4.5 total games played for the Penguins Habs is basically one of my favorite plays I like here. Moving on here, Hurricanes and Rangers. Again, another series that I feel like can go 5 games as well. Over 3.5 is -400. Again, this is just too much for my liking. Now, if the Rangers or Hurricanes were to sweep under 3.5 games played, that's +300. I don't see a sweep with these two teams here. I definitely see a 5-game series as well. And this is at +155. So a lot of money. This was at +175 not too long ago. Maybe about a week or two ago. I didn't talk about this set of odds yet, but it's moved a little dramatically to over 4.5 now, +155. I really, really like that as well. Again, you got to take the plus odds, because I think most of these series are going to go to length. They're going to go to length unless if you are in that first overall pick choice, of course, whether, again, of course, the Canadians are going to give it all to the Penguins. And, again, I just like the value of that over 4.5 games played. Canes, Rangers here, over 4.5 games played at +155. Does not look bad as well. You could also parlay these things too. If you're thinking over 3.5 at -400 with the Penguins over 3.5 at -360, by all means do it. I mean, the odds are not that great, but for a parlay, you're looking at most likely. Let me get this up for you guys real quick. But yeah, I mean, it's basically going to be if anything, an even sort of parlay. So 25 will pay you 25, 50 will pay you 50, etc., etc. Oilers, Blackhawks. Now, again, this is big because the Blackhawks are going to be down to Delia as a third stringer, and he might be starting. So I'm not expecting much from the Blackhawks in this series. I mean, the Oilers here, if it goes under 3.5, if the Edmonton Oilers sweep this 3-0, that's a +300 ticket for under 3.5 games played. That's not bad. That's a very, very good value play here, especially if you're going to see the third stringer for the Blackhawks in every game in the playoffs here. I would consider under 3.5 games played. But if you want to play it safe, obviously the under 4.5 games played, this could go, again, I just feel like the Oilers will probably sweep them, of course, because of the goaltending situation. Worst comes to worst, it goes to 4 games. So that's under 4.5. That's at -200. Juicy, but again, something that you could possibly parlay with something else that you like. So Oilers, to me, a 3-0 sweep for +300. That's a good value play. Over 4.5 at +200 is even nice too, for them to go the length of the series. That's not bad, over 4.5 games. Leafs, Jackets, I'm taking the over 4.5 here. I really do think that this is going to go 5 games as well. Columbus is going to go the length regardless if they lose, because they're going to be one of the participants to get the first pick in the draft. But why not scare the Leafs a little bit? Why not? Under 3.5 games, so the Leafs were to sweep, that's plus 300 as well. Over 4.5 games to go the length, plus 175. Obviously, it has to go 5 games to cash out the plus 175. That is not bad. Good value there as well. But under 4.5, if you think the Leafs are going to win in 4 against the Jackets, or vice versa, you never know. Under 4.5 is at minus 200. Again, not too. It's juicy, I know, but again, these are odds that you have to parlay with. Oilers, Panthers. Again, I do like the Panthers in this series here. Will it go 5? We'll see. I mean, I just can't. I just feel like most of these series are going to go left. I really, really do. This series to go over 4.5 games is at plus 160. Some really, really good odds. Under 4.5 is at minus 180. So if you really, really think that the Panthers or if you're the Islanders backers thinking that it's going to be a 4-game series, that's minus 180. So money is going either way here. You're seeing some light odds on the plus side, plus 160 to go 5 games, minus 180 to go 4 games. So either way, this is probably going to be the closest series of them all. I think a lot of unders is screaming to me as well, but I really still think that Florida is going to advance in this series here, and I think it'll go 5 games. I really do think it'll go 5 games at plus 160. Why not? Give me that ticket right now. Vancouver and the Wild. Again, this is a series where, hey, you know what? Will it go over 3.5 games? Now, I do like the Canucks, obviously. Canucks are one of my favorites to advance from the series here. Over 3.5 games, yes, it will go at least 4 games. But the over 3.5 games here is at minus 380. Probably the juiciest of them all. So again, if you think the Canucks are going to win in 4, like how I feel, definitely parlay them. These are heavy odds. You could parlay all the over 3.5 if you want and still get a positive payout. At 8-teamer, why the hell not? I'll do it. I'll do all day over 3.5 games played for every game possible. So just make sure that there's no sweeps. That's it. But over 3.5 minus 380. The over 4.5 at plus 175, which is good. Under 3.5, so if the Canucks were to sweep, that's plus 300. Again, a very, very good value play as well. But again, I feel like Minnesota will sneak 1 in this series as well. Real quick, the Flames and the Jets. Over 3.5 games, obviously, is minus 375. Too juicy. I think this is going to be a 5-game series as well, with the Flames winning 3-2. Over 4.5 is at plus 200. So I like that value play as well. You're getting doubled your money. 10 will pay you 20. Or whatever it may be, but I do like the over 4.5 total games played for the Flames and Jets. And lastly, the Predators, Coyotes. Predators might actually sweep the Coyotes here because the Coyotes are probably more lenient about taking the first pick in the draft. I still like the Coyotes, but for the value play here, under 3.5 at plus 300, for the Preds to sweep 3-0, I like that. I absolutely like that, plus 300. So again, you're talking about doubling the money earlier, I'll triple it like that. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the week and the day, July 16, 2020 episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only King on the Ice, himself, Philly Pete. And I'm signing off for the day. Hope everyone has a phenomenal, phenomenal weekend. And I will be back on Tuesday. All right, everyone. Take care and goodbye.